This is the dumbest no in business history. In the year 2000, this company had the chance to buy Netflix, the entire company, for $50 million. And they laughed. They literally laughed the guy out of the room. Today, Netflix is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Blockbuster has exactly one store left on the entire planet. One? So grab some popcorn, because this is the story of how you fumble the future so badly they make a documentary about it. And the most damning part isn't even the no. It's what they did in the 4 years after, when they still had every chance to win. Stick around, because that's where this really turns. To understand how catastrophic that no was, you have to remember how untouchable Blockbuster felt. This wasn't a fragile little startup. This was a giant. An empire, a part of everyday life for tens of millions of people. It began in 1985 with a single store in Dallas, Texas, opened by a businessman named David Cook. While other video stores were small and cramped, Cook went big, bright, and family-friendly. Thousands of titles, clean, well-lit aisles, and a computer system that tracked every tape in every store. It felt less like a dingy little shop and more like a supermarket for movies. And it spread very fast. At its peak, a new Blockbuster was reportedly opening somewhere in the world roughly every day. It rolled across America and then across the planet, swallowing up all the little independent shops that couldn't match its size, its selection, or its budget. By the mid-1990s, Blockbuster was a monster. Around 9,000 stores, more than 80,000 employees, and in 1994, the media giant Viacom bought Blockbuster for roughly $8 billion. $8 billion. This was a crown jewel, one of the most recognized brands on the planet. If you had said back then that it would all be gone within a decade, people would have thought you were insane, because Blockbuster wasn't just a business. It was a ritual. For a whole generation, Friday night wasn't Friday night until you'd driven to Blockbuster, wandered the aisles, argued with your family over a movie nobody would finish, grabbed some candy and rented it anyway. That weekly trip was part of the culture, and that's exactly why nobody at the top could imagine it ever ending. And people didn't just shop there. They belonged there. That Blockbuster membership card in your wallet was almost a rite of passage. The wall of new releases. The race to grab the last copy of the Big Friday movie before your neighbor did. Blockbuster wasn't really selling movies at all. It was selling a night out. And a company that owns a piece of your weekly routine feels, from the inside, completely impossible to kill. But Blockbuster had a dirty little secret, hiding in plain sight on your receipt. A huge chunk of its profit didn't come from renting you movies. It came from you forgetting to bring them back. Late fees. By some estimates, in a single year, those late fees brought in around $800 million. Money that came in not when customers were happy, but when they slipped up. And any profit built on quietly annoying the people who pay you is a time bomb. It ticks along fine right up until someone offers those people a way out. You could practically hear it at every counter in America. $40 for being 3 days late on one movie? People were furious. And out in California, two men were about to turn all that anger into a company. Their names were Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph. The story goes that Hastings once got a $40 late fee on a single movie and thought, there has to be a better way. Their idea was almost insultingly simple. Mail people to movies. No stores. No driving. And no late fees, ever. Soon they added a flat monthly subscription. All you can watch, one low price, no penalties. At first it was tiny. Fragile. Losing money. DVDs were brand new. Most people didn't even own a DVD player. And shipping discs around the country was slow and expensive. Netflix needed a lifeline. So in the year 2000, its founders flew to Dallas, walked into Blockbuster's headquarters, and offered to sell the whole company for $50 million. And according to Randolph's own account, the room could barely keep a straight face. Buy a money-losing website that mails out envelopes to the handful of people who own DVD players? For $50 million? It sounded ridiculous. So Blockbuster passed, and Netflix flew home with nothing but a rejection and a grudge. But the future doesn't care what sounds ridiculous in a boardroom. That no didn't kill Netflix. It just started a countdown clock on Blockbuster that nobody in that room could hear ticking. For a few years, Blockbuster looked completely fine, which is the most dangerous way for a company to look. Underneath, the ground was shifting. Internet speeds were climbing. And Netflix was quietly building the thing that would end all of this: streaming. Movies delivered instantly with no discs, no envelopes, and no stores. Every physical thing that made Blockbuster powerful was turning into dead weight it was still paying rent on. Think about what streaming really meant. A customer could now get any movie instantly without ever leaving the couch. No drive. No late fee. Everything that once made a trip to Blockbuster feel special was, one by one, becoming a reason to never go back again. The company's greatest strengths were quietly turning into its greatest weaknesses, and almost nobody at the top wanted to admit it. Now here's the part everyone forgets, and it's what makes this a tragedy. Blockbuster was not asleep. Around 2004, under its CEO John Antioco, it fought back, and for a while it fought back brilliantly. It launched its own online service, and then it did the unthinkable. In 2005, it killed the late fees in a huge campaign to win back all those angry customers. And it went even further with a program called Total Access that let you rent online and return the disc at a store for your next one. It was genuinely clever, combining the mailbox and the storefront in a way Netflix couldn't match. And it worked. Subscribers poured in by the millions. For the first time, Netflix looked genuinely scared. Blockbuster wasn't just surviving, it was catching up. So how do you throw away a comeback that's actually working? From the inside. Killing the late fees and building Total Access cost a fortune, and a bitter civil war broke out at the top. The investor Carl Icahn had taken a big stake and wanted costs slashed. Antioco wanted to spend more, not less, to win the future. The fight got personal. It got ugly. And in the end, the man betting the company on the future was pushed out, leaving in 2007. His replacement looked at the expensive fight for the future, looked at the comfortable past, and confidently chose the past. Total Access was scaled back. Spending was cut. The fees crept back in. Blockbuster had been sprinting toward tomorrow, winning, with Netflix scared. And then, at the worst possible moment, it turned around and ran full speed back toward the thing that was already dying. And it was getting squeezed from every direction. Netflix launched streaming in 2007 and bet everything on it. At the same time, bright red Redbox kiosks popped up outside grocery stores, renting the latest movies for $1 a night. Cheat machines on one side, easy streaming on the other. Blockbuster's expensive stores were being crushed from both sides, and it no longer had the money or the will to fight back. And that was the true beginning of the end, and it came fast. Netflix's subscribers climbed into the millions and kept climbing, while Blockbuster shed stores season after season, drowning in debt. Store traffic collapsed. Revenue cratered. The company that had been laughed at in that boardroom was now, by every measure that mattered, winning. And the giant that had done the laughing was going under. In 2010, just 10 years after that meeting, the company that once owned Friday Night filed for bankruptcy. 9,000 stores, 80,000 employees, an $8 billion valuation. All of it folded into a punchline. Tens of thousands of people lost their jobs as the lights went out, and a brand that had been part of millions of childhoods was quietly dismantled and sold for parts. And a giant that had felt as permanent as the sun didn't explode in one dramatic moment. It faded. Store by store, empty parking lot by empty parking lot. Until one day you looked up, drove past where your Blockbuster used to be, and realized it was simply gone, replaced by a phone store or pharmacy, as if it had never ruled the world at all. Today, exactly one Blockbuster store is still standing in Bend, Oregon. And it survives less as a business and more as a museum for a thing that went extinct. People fly in from around the world just to stand inside it and remember. Meanwhile, that little envelope company they laughed at grew into a global giant worth hundreds of billions. 50 million. Hundreds of billions. Same story, opposite endings. But here's what you should actually take from this. Blockbuster didn't die because it was stupid, or broke, or unlucky. It had the customers, the brand, the cash. At one point, it even had the better hand. It died because it couldn't imagine a future that looked different from its past. And every time that future was placed in front of it, it flinched and reached backward for whatever felt safe. Economists even have a name for this trap: the innovator's dilemma. The very things that make a company successful, its fattest profits and its most loyal customers, become the exact chains that stop it from changing. Blockbuster couldn't fully chase streaming precisely because it was so good at stores and so addicted to late fee money. So it protected the comfortable present again and again, right up until that present simply vanished. Success didn't just fail to protect it. Success is the very thing that blinded it. So the real question isn't why Blockbuster failed. It's this: how many giants right now, household names you'd swear are untouchable, are sitting in a boardroom this very minute, politely trying not to laugh at the tiny company that's about to bury them? Because the next Blockbuster moment is always happening somewhere. It just never feels like one from the inside. If you enjoyed watching an empire fumble the future, subscribe, because next time we've got another giant that never saw it coming. And tell me in the comments, what company that you use today do you think is about to have its own Blockbuster moment? I read every single one.